You might remember me saying something about the Linux kernel being worth trillions of dollars. Uh, the GNU Linux operating system being worth trillions. Well, here's something that I don't see people talking about. And it's not really on a lot of people's radar. I think plenty of people have heard of it, but don't really understand like the connotations that this thing has. It's uh, Google Fuchsia. So, and is my shit still recording? It is good. Uh, from Wikipedia, it's an open source capability based operating system that runs on anything. It's so a lot of the people who have heard of this and have covered this in the news since it was first announced 5 years ago is oh, this is going to be the Chrome OS replacement. This is going to be the Android replacement. They're going to run this in cars. They're going to run this in everything. Yeah, and they are. They will. But here's the thing, those all run Linux now. And guess what? The Linux Foundation doesn't take a cut every time. Well, I don't know. This is open source. So I don't even know. Like this is open source. Linux is free software. That's the difference. Or it's not well, kind of the same thing. I don't even know what to make of this, but isn't the end goal of something like this to have every server that's running Linux right now? And think about it, it's almost all of them run Linux now. What about when it's running Fuchsia instead? What about that? What about when this replaces Linux? What are the implications of that? I couldn't even tell you, but this is definitely something to watch out for in the next 5, 10 years. Um, I don't need like this could really be something big, you know, and not big in the way that a lot of people are like pogging about the way that it has ooh, pretty buttons in Google's material design UI, you know. I'm talking about like real world political ramifications of a Google operating system running on every single device out there, you know? And it's pretty much already the case that like the majority of devices out there do like phone home to Google because it's running Android, which, just imagine if they had full control, you know? I don't, I don't know. I'll have to look into it a bit more, but this is just, I don't see anybody fucking talking about this. I think everybody forgot about it, but they're, I got reminded of it because I kept getting this um, video in my recommended feed called Z, an editor for the next 20 years, and it's spelled XI, which is obviously like okay, it's the next letter after V, or is it? Whatever. It's like Vi, but it's Z. You know what I mean? Uh, and it turns out that this Z editor for the next 20 years is uh is actually going to be the default editor on Fuchsia, which this is like a serious this is like intended to be a serious contender um, against Mac OS and against Windows, like to properly have their foot in the door as a um, sort of what can you say? Have have their foot properly in the door to for that triopoly action. You know what I mean? Because when Google releases something, it's it gains adoption very quickly, as we've seen. They've got infinitely deep pockets for this sort of thing, and the advantage they have over Apple is when they uh, take a piece of software and buy it or develop it themselves. It's not they're not trying to sell you hardware. They're trying they like they don't care if somebody else sells you hardware with their software on it, They don't care. And that's the advantage that Google has sort of in the long term compared to Apple. I don't know. I just feel like I'm talking in circles and not really saying anything interesting. So that's all.